Hey, I want to thank Poker's Video Production for producing Yaz Animation Podcast. Today, I'm in their beautiful studio in Burnaby, BC. If you want to create videos that really stand out, please check the website down here. My special guest today is Andrew Truong. He's a Vancouver-based realtor that has two wonderful kids with his partner, Eric. Andrew is also well known for his engaging Instagram account, which I'm a huge fan of it. And I have to say that it's almost impossible not to fall in love with him and his family. Hi, Andrew.
Hi.
Welcome to Yaz Amazing Podcast.
Thank you for having me here.
How you doing?
Good, a little bit nervous.
A little bit nervous?
Yes.
Me too.
Good. We can be nervous together. How's that?
Yeah, that's awesome. So in 2013, during your trip to Vietnam, you passed through the region where you were born in South Vietnam, right?
Mm-hmm.
My question is, was that your first time? Was that your first visit to Vietnam since moving to Canada?
No. So my family escaped to Vietnam in 1986, and we came back to Vietnam in 1989. Was the first time that we went back there. So we came to Canada in 88, and then a year after we were here, we went back to visit in 89. So that in 2013 was the first time that I went back with Eric, my husband. So.
I knew you were just a kid when you left Vietnam, right?
Yes, yeah.
But especially when during your first visit to Vietnam, did it bring back old memories for you?
Yes, it brought a lot of memories. I grew up the first 5 years of my life in Vietnam. And then my dad, who was a soldier for the South Vietnamese Army, when the communists took over in 1975, he was put in community service for, I think, a year or 2 years after that. So he didn't like the regime. He wanted to escape since he's 75, but he got married to my mom in 77 and then had me in 80. And then we didn't escape to 86. So we escaped from Vietnam to Cambodia to Thailand. And then we lived in a refugee camp in Thailand for 15 months. After that, we came to Canada as refugees.
But you and your family had no choice but to leave, right? So the decision to leave was... Who was the force behind your family's move? That was your dad?
It was my dad, yes. Yeah. It was because he just didn't want to live in that regime, and also he wanted a better future for us.
What about the camps? Because I was introduced to Vietnam by watching American movies, like
Mm-hmm.
most people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Movies about the Vietnam War.
Yep.
And the war was already over when you were born, right?
Yes.
But the country was still going through some difficult times.
Yes. Yeah.
What about the camps? Have your family, your friends, experienced being sent to one of these camps?
We lived in a refugee camp. Is that what you mean? Or
yeah.
So when we escaped from Cambodia to Thailand, we lived in a refugee camp. So it was in a place called Panat Nakhon. It's a camp that housed about 10,000 refugees from Vietnam. So I was six at that time, and I still remember the condition there, the food that was provided, the treatment from authorities there weren't great.
Yeah. Amen.
So they could, there's curfews at night that you have to go to bed by a certain time. You couldn't do certain things. But, my dad is he's an entrepreneur. So he was a barber in Vietnam as well as a farmer. And he began a business in in the refugee camp. So we did make a little bit of money.
In the
refugee camp, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he allowed to have like a business?
Well, they need barbers in there. So yes, you are allowed to do things like that. Yeah.
What do you remember about, like, again, you were really young.
Mm-hmm.
Is that any like good memories from it? Can you?
Good memories in a refugee camp.
Hard to say, right?
Yeah.
Hard question.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
hard
but I
question.
was wondering because you were a kid.
I was.
Although it was you were like in really bad conditions.
Yeah. I did remember, being kids. I remember like the refugee camp itself is fenced by this probably 12 feet tall tin fence. And there are certain little cutouts along the fences. And my friends and I would kind of sneak outside, which, if you get caught going outside, you'd be in big trouble. But that was the adrenaline rush that we got just sneaking out and seeing what's out there. Was a lot of fun.
that was the only moment you were like having some fun.
I remember about that refugee camp was the exhilaration of going outside. Maybe that's a sign that we wanted freedom to be outside of this container. So having that little escape kind of felt like that was the freedom.
Yeah.
So
did your parents and you used to have like conversations about that? Like, we're here today, but we're planning it.
They never knew about me.
Move
and my
to a
friends.
better place.
We never really talked about like why they did that, but I knew that they escaped because they wanted my sister and I to have a better future outside of Vietnam.
What can you tell about your family's journey from Vietnam to Canada? What do you remember?
It was a very difficult journey, and it came along with a lot of luck as well. Mm-hmm. When we escaped from Vietnam to Cambodia, we escaped by a bus, and we didn't have citizenship. So when
how did you like cross the border? Like,
so that's the thing. We crossed on a bus. We sat all the way at the back of the bus. When we got to the border, the custom officer came on and basically checked people's documents. Mm-hmm. And of course, we didn't have any. My family, we escaped with another family because we thought we couldn't afford to buy a boat by ourselves. So we had to escape with someone else to have enough money to pull in together to buy a boat once we get to Cambodia. Mm-hmm. But basically, the two families, we sat way at the back of the bus. And for some mystery, the officer, when he came to check our documents, someone came on the bus and tapped on the back and asked him for something else. And so he had to go out and he didn't come back to check ours. Oh, okay. So we were let through the border.
Did your dad have to pay, like, give some money? Or?
No, there was no bribery. So we couldn't understand, like, why, like, maybe someone was watching over us or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then from Cambodia, what was the next?
We lived in Cambodia for about a month because we didn't want to just go buy a boat right away and escape because people would think, they would know. So we actually set up, we rented a house there, and my mom, she speaks Cambodian, so that helps. We rented a house there for a month, and my mom started, selling stuff in the market. And so it was more like we're going to there to live, but people didn't know that we were going to escape. So during that month, my dad
You can't say anything, right, about your plans.
No, because, you're going to get caught and sent back to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. So during that month, my dad bought a boat, and he's never, like, operated a boat before, so he had no idea of how to even operate a boat. So during that month, he got a boat and just tried it out and tested out. And at the end of the month, he basically said, we're going to go for a ride on this new boat. And so the two families got on there and we just left.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the plan.
Yes. Well, he didn't tell us the plan. He just told everyone to get on the boat and we just left from there. And luckily, it was only 24 hours that we got to Thailand, because I've heard stories of other refugees where they were on the sea, the ocean, for days.
For days.
Yeah. Weeks even. Like they would die of malnutrition, no water, no food. But it was only 24 hours for us. So we're quite lucky.
Wow.
And during those 24 hours, we were actually stopped by pirates twice. The first time, they took basically everything. And the second time, we didn't have anything else for them to take. But we had an extra pair of propeller, and it was bronze, so they thought it was gold. So they took that and let us go. So we're quite fortunate that they didn't kill us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like a lottery, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I heard some stats out there that 50% of refugees who escape by boat, 50% don't make it.
Yeah.
Either who are killed by pirates or who got malnourished. So they died of malnourishment.
And then once you guys are in Thailand, right? I mean, what was the plan? Like, was Canada one of the part of the plan? Your dad's plan, you didn't know about it, but it was Canada, or
we applied to
options?
the U.S. first because we have an aunt in the U.S. So we thought, oh, maybe she could sponsor us. So we tried the U.S. We applied for the U.S. and we were denied. So I don't know why, but so we switched to Canada. But like looking back, I think there must be some purpose, because what if we got accepted to the U.S.? Would my life be the same? Probably not, right? It's kind of like that movie Sliding Doors. I've never seen it, but I think the premise is like someone gets out of a train and the door stops, and in one scenario the person gets out, and the other scenario is that the person doesn't get out, and how that changes their life depending on if they got out or not. So I think back, I thought, if we had gone to the US, my life would totally be different now. Like, what if we got sent to Oklahoma or something like that in the South, and how would it be today? How would I be today? Where would I be today? So
yeah, everything happens for a reason, right?
Yes, I definitely think so.
How long did you stay in
15
Thailand?
months. 15 months in the refugee
15
camp.
months.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, within the camp, there are schools in there. So we went to school. One more thing I'd like to add is when we escaped with nothing except for family photo, just one, and a book of when I was in grade 2 in Vietnam that my parents brought. Was a book and a family photo. So during our time in the refugee camp, my sister and I did go to school there. So I think grade 2 and grade 1. So we did continue school there.
You still have that photo?
Yes.
I wish we can show that during the episode.
Yes,
yeah.
I will send it to you.
I would love to see that photo. Yeah. And then, didn't happen. You didn't go to the U.S. and then Canada.
We
right?
applied for Canada and we were accepted by Canada. So we came here in 1988, August 8, 1988. So I guess it's a lucky number.
Do you remember that day? Why do you remember? Because that might be exciting. After going through all of that, difficulties and challenges, and then you finally land in Canada. Do you remember that day?
I do remember. We landed and then we went to this place called Welcome House, which is not there anymore. It's on Drake and Seymour, I think, but it's not there anymore. I remember being there for the first month in Vancouver. I remember going into it and then going up to the room and then opening the fridge for like I've never seen a fridge before, and there were chocolates inside.
Wow.
Tasting chocolate for the first
What
time.
was your reaction like?
It was yummy.
Yeah.
My sister and I remember just tasting the smell of, or the taste of chocolate, because we've never had chocolate before. I was telling Eric the other day that the smell of freezers always brings me back to that time when I first opened the door to a fridge. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I believe that landing in Vancouver was sort of a relief and a sign of hope for your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, starting a new life as a refugee might be a quite complex process, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were the main challenges for your family during the first couple of years?
I think the first couple of years, my parents, they're very hard workers. My mom basically bounced from job to job. Just actually, the first couple of months, they went to school to learn English, and then she started working. So she went to different factories. My dad, he worked at an auto body shop, and he worked there for about a year. And after a year, he learned enough of the trade that he opened his own body shop. So for my sister and I, we had challenges of assimilating into the school system here because neither of us spoke any English. And so I remember I was 8 years old, but the school put me into grade 2. So I was supposed to be in grade 3. They put me into grade 2 so I can kind of catch up on my English. And I remember the first, in grade 2, the only other kid in my class that spoke Vietnamese, we basically stuck together for the whole year and just spoke Vietnamese to each other. And, kids absorb English pretty fast. So I remember by the following year, they put me back to grade 4. So that fits my age group. And grade 4, I was back into like regular classes and not ESL anymore. So the first couple of years was hard to assimilate. But then after that, I just felt like a normal kid again.
Normal kid again. Did your family adopt the Canadian culture right away? Was that?
Not right away, but I feel like my mom adopted much quicker than my dad because she was engaging with people that are more like from where she works, like from different factories. She would encounter a lot more different variety of people, whereas my dad, he worked more with the Vietnamese community. And so he was not as exposed to
language and culture
as much as my mom did. So, she was a much quicker adapted to Canadian lifestyle than my dad did. Yeah,
there's so many stories of immigrant children that grew up not seeing their parents. Did you have similar experience?
Yep. So my sister and I, we would go to school in the morning by ourselves, which thinking back, I'm like, I have kids that are,
You wouldn't do that, right?
I would not do it right now. But basically, my sister and I, we would go to school every day by ourselves, and we'd come home by ourselves, and we would, watch TV, have snacks by ourselves, and my mom would come home around 5, and she would make dinner and cook, and my dad would come home around 6. So, yeah, early life, it was pretty much myself and sister. Yeah, we basically entertained ourselves. And that went on until I forever, I guess. Yeah, because they were busy working just to pay the bills and stuff. So,
how did this affect you back then?
I feel like it actually helped me to be more responsible because I was acting like, I'm an older person than I was. More responsibility to take care of my sister because my parents are not home, so I have to take care of her, right? So I felt more responsible
and independent, right?
And independent as well. So yeah, like I said, I would not let my kids do that at their age, even though they keep asking, like, when can we walk by ourselves to school? So maybe in a couple of years.
Different times.
It is
different today.
Yes, yeah. A lot of things you have to be concerned about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So fast forward to high school. I understand that you're now completely integrated into this new environment, which is not new anymore.
Yep.
How did you identify yourself once the language barrier and socializing are not a major issue anymore?
High school to me felt like it went so fast because I was so busy in high school. I was in almost every single club. I ran for student council, and then grade 12, I became student council president. I was so busy. I had lots of friends. And funny, like we had a chat about, when you didn't have Asian friends.
Yeah.
For me, growing up here, it was the reverse. Like most of my friends were Asians. Yeah. And I grew up in East Van as well as South Van. So there's a lot of Asians in South Vancouver. So I didn't feel like I stood out. I felt like Asians were the majority in South Vancouver. So so if you were white, then you would stand out in South Vancouver.
Well, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite, yes. Yeah.
Wow. But that was something that you would like actually choose to be around Asian, other Asian kids,
I guess
or
I didn't really choose, but because there's so many of them.
Yeah, you didn't have to make that decision.
Right? Yeah, you have to choose the white friends that are.
Oh, okay.
And I did have Caucasian friends as well.
Yeah.
So it's great because it's a great mix of everybody: East Indian, whites, Asians.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt like my schooling was very eclectic in terms of the population types.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny because every children or every person, has had a different experience. Even like living in Vancouver, having this big Asian community, every person has a completely different experience.
yeah.
Yeah,
And also
living in the same city.
Yes, yeah, and even different parts of the city is a little different as well. So I feel like if you live closer to South Vancouver, there's more Asians than if you're closer to downtown. Even though there's lots of Asians downtown, so
I think so. Yeah.
So
okay, I want to share something with you. I've mentioned that before because I grew up not seeing any Asian representation within the gay community. And based on my personal experience, I have the impression that this is still a huge taboo for an Asian family.
Yep.
How did you cope with this, within and outside your family?
So I didn't really think that I was gay until after high school. So when I went to university, that's when I basically came out to myself that I am gay. Because before that, I guess I didn't really date anybody, male or female. So I didn't have any desire to do that. But for some reason, after high school, when I went to SFU, I started having interest in men. And so I started, experimenting with men in university. And it was all undercover. Like my parents had no idea that I was doing that or what my sexual orientation was. They've never mentioned anything about, why don't you have a girlfriend, which is very common in the Asian community. Every time you have any gathering, and if you're older, your aunts or uncles or parents are like, where's your girlfriend? When are you going to get married? But a funny thing is my parents never asked me that. So they always thought that because I was so busy with school that
you didn't have time.
Yeah, that's my focus is school. And I don't have time for relationships or anything like that. But fast forward 4 years after university was when I moved to Chicago. That's when I met Eric. And I was outed by someone who I met here. Because when I was living in Chicago, I went to my first Pride event and I took a picture with a person that was holding a Canadian flag. And I sent it to a few of the people that I met back in Vancouver saying, Happy Pride Month or something like that. And one of them, he basically took that photo and sent it to my dad's business because he knew where my dad worked.
Wow.
And he sent it, after he sent it, my dad, of course, called me and said, is this true? And I said, yep, it is true. And so, of course, he was very angry. He was disappointed. He was sad. All those emotions, of course, like probably every single Asian family would have those emotions.
Same reaction.
Same reactions, yes. And he's like, well, why don't you come home and we can talk about this? We can fix this. I'm like, well, I don't think we can fix it. I am who I am. So we kind of stopped talking for probably a month, just on the phone. Like my mom still calls me, but every time she calls me, she's like teary, and she's more empathetic than my dad. My dad just stopped talking about it. But probably about after a month, then he'll call me again. We'll talk about things, but never about being gay.
And you didn't plan this, right?
I didn't.
It wasn't the way you wanted to.
No, but in retrospect, I feel like that was a blessing because I feel like if it was up to me to come out to them, I think it would have taken a lot more time because at that time I met Eric at that time already. So I was glad that I was outed.
And you kind of knew that especially your dad, he was going to react like this, as you just mentioned, right?
Yeah. Which, I mean, is very typical of Asian families. I think every other gay Asians that I know have very similar storylines of when they came out to their parents that usually it's the dad that gets quite upset and angry. And yeah, it was the same for my dad.
But did you talk about it with your close friends?
In Chicago? Not really. Like Eric knew that person outed me. But like I said, I was actually glad that happened, that now it's out in the open. I felt like before that I was carrying a huge load on my shoulder because, I'm hiding this thing from my parents. And once that was out in the open, I was like, I have nothing else, no one else to hide to, so I could be free and open to whoever.
Yeah.
So
to be who you are, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember the day you said to yourself, it's time for me to have another conversation with my parents or with your dad? Enough is enough. We have to figure out a way to fix that, your relationship between you and your parents.
So my relationship with my parents, with my dad specifically, we've actually had a very healthy relationship. Always with my mom as well. But my dad, after I was outed, he just kind of like put that under the rug and just didn't talk about it. And he died in 2009. That's when I moved back to Vancouver in 2008, sorry. And so I was here for a year before he died. But during that year that I was here, we would just have our normal relationship like we had before, but we just never talked about me being gay. So I'm not sure if that's his way of acceptance, that the silent treatment, if that's his way of saying, I'm okay with you being gay, but I just don't want to talk about it. So I'm not sure. So I do wish that, he was still alive so I can go back and kind of hash it out and say, I'm gay and you can accept me or not, or what are your reasons? Or we can just like talk it out, right? So whereas my mom is the other, she was always supportive after the initial shock. So
did you have this conversation with your mom when you came back to Vancouver? Did you have that conversation?
My mom and I are very close. We talk about a lot of things, and she would ask me questions that are very personal. I think most kids don't answer or don't have questions like this with their mom. She would say things like, "Well, why do you like men? Like, you have a penis, and why do you want another penis?"
She couldn't understand.
Yeah, she couldn't understand. So I was like, well, Mom, everybody's different, right? Some people like that and some people don't. So she's like, yeah, that's fair enough. So she just couldn't understand.
So that was a long process between, even with her mother, like you, that was a long process, right?
Yes, but
of acceptance.
Yeah, but for me, it feels like her acceptance was much quicker to me than my dad never accepted, right? So I heard somewhere that you should allow the same amount of time that you accepted yourself. So if it took me 18 years to accept myself, I should allow that same amount of time for my families and friends to kind of work through and accept me for who I am. So
yeah, because you cannot force someone, right? Convince someone.
No,
especially with such like sensitive,
yeah,
topic in an Asian family,
yes,
right? So you were aware of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I did notice that with my mom, initially she would not share it with her friends because maybe she was ashamed that I was, she has a son who is gay. Mm-hmm. But she would not tell her friends that I have a boyfriend or a husband. So she would say, oh, he's dating somebody, but wouldn't say
who is that person. Yeah. So you feel like between you and your dad, you could have done something differently. Like you could have talked to him, like you didn't know that was going to happen. He would pass away and then there's, nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But is that something that you normally think about it when you remember your dad?
I do think about it that once in a while. I think if he got to know Eric, I think he would
change his mind.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, because Eric's a great guy. So.
Especially meeting your kids.
Yes.
He would definitely change his mind, right? You and Eric got married in 2008?
2008, yeah.
And you already said where you met in Chicago. And you and Eric seem to be so grateful for having, an opportunity to build a family together, right? Mm-hmm. When did you guys decide to build a family together?
We always wanted to have kids since we met in 2004. But back then, 21 years ago, like gay men having kids is not the norm. There's a lot more gay men that are having kids now. back then it was more like adoption, but even that wasn't very popular, I guess. But when we started to actually think about having kids seriously, it was when Eric came here in 2009. We went to a couple seminars about different ways like adoption, foster parent, surrogacy. We initially thought about adoption, but the seminar that we went to kind of made us rethink about the adoption process, because it was 4 to 5 years on average to adopt a kid.
Is that long?
Yes, it's that long. But we've heard people that get a kid within 6 months. So it all depends on the availability of a kid. As well, they said that 90% of the kids would have some kind of psychological or physical disability. So we thought, well, do we want to have a kid, say, that has Down syndrome? Not that, people that are raising Down syndrome is not a good parents or anything like that. But we thought we wanted to pursue surrogacy instead. So we started saving money for it because it's not a cheap process.
It's not for everyone, right?
It's not for everyone. Yeah. So we thought, we started saving after a couple of years. We're like, this is not enough. So, because it takes a lot of money to do surrogacy. So Eric's parents actually gave some of the money to us to help start the process. Because initially we thought, oh, maybe we'll get a mortgage to do surrogacy. But we got enough money from Eric's parents to start the process. Yeah. So back to your question, we've always wanted to have kids, but it was the financial aspect that didn't allow us to have it sooner.
And again, you always thank some people who have crossed your path and helped you, make this dream come true.
Yeah.
What can you tell about them? How did they help you guys?
So being gay men, we need an oven. So we need someone to carry the baby, and we need an egg donor. So in Canada, you can't have the same woman be both. So I guess you could do it under the table and have the same woman, but to do it legally, to do like what's called gestational surrogacy, you have to have the egg donor and the surrogate to be different women. So we found the egg donor online. Well, actually, we found all 3 women online. So the egg donor we found on a website called Find Surrogate Mother or something like that, or Find Egg Donor or something like that. And for the surrogates, the first one was on that site as well, Find Surrogate Mothers. She's from Peterborough, Ontario. And then the second one we found here locally in BC, in Vancouver. So, without those 3 women, we wouldn't be able to have our kids today. So, funny thing is, like, our kids, because they're the same egg donor, they're 50% related, but you have no idea, like, looking at them, that they're related. Because, our son is a complete redhead and our daughter looks like me.
Like you.
Yes. So,
which is amazing, right?
Because Asian genes are quite dominant.
But you didn't know that was going to happen. Is that what you're saying? Like, or there was a chance that you kind of knew that?
We knew that we're going to use the same egg donor so that we have that connection between our kids, so that they have something connected between them biologically. So.
Wow. What's the meaning for you to have biological kids?
It means a lot, not just to me, but to my family as well, and Eric's family, because one of the things that was brought up when I was outed was that they're not going to be grandparents because I'm gay. So that brought a lot of joy to both sides of the family, that we have kids and that they could be grandparents. So, yeah. Joy, I guess. Joy and happiness.
Yeah.
and joy for us as well. So we love having kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell that by just seeing your photos and your social media. Yeah, it's there. Like you look at your faces, your videos. You're so affectionate.
But let me tell you something, that Instagram is all about happy things. Raising kids is not all about happy moments. There's moments where there's tantrums and stuff, which I don't post on Instagram, right?
You don't like it, of course.
When
you don't want to show that part.
No, when they're crying or they're fighting with each other. That's not going on Instagram.
I know, right?
It's only all the happy moments. Right?
Yeah, but it's still like, we'll talk about it, but I kind of, I like the way you show your life with your kids and Eric. Mm-hmm. Have you taught like some of the Vietnamese cultural traditions to your children? Is that something you talk about it, like between you and Eric? Like, okay, I want to make sure my kids, they know some of my Vietnamese background.
I do tell them stories, but I don't do things like, for example, growing up, one of the traditions of Lunar New Year's is going to a temple and getting lì xì, which is like the lucky money. I think like 90% of Vietnamese are Buddhist, but we're not religious in any sense. It's more of a customs. So we would go to a temple every Lunar New Year's and get that money for mid-autumn festival. You would eat mooncake and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I've done like the mooncakes with my kids, but haven't done the temple thing with them. My mom brings over like Vietnamese food. She comes every weekend to bring over food for them to eat. I don't know any of the traditions that I do that I would pass on to my kids. Although I'd like them to get into, I'd like to get a tutor for them to teach them Vietnamese, because when our son was born, I was a stay-at-home dad, and I would speak 100% Vietnamese to him. And so he would understand what I was saying in Vietnamese. But when my daughter was born, 2 years later, for some reason, I stopped speaking Vietnamese to them, and I just revert to English 100% of the time. So my daughter has no knowledge of Vietnamese.
Does your son remember anything?
A few words here and there, but when he was like less than 2, he understood like everything that I said. Like if I tell him something, he would do those things. So I wish that I kept that up. So now I'm thinking, well, maybe I should hire a Vietnamese tutor, because they won't listen to me. I mean, like when you're a parent and you try to teach your kid a skill, like Eric is great at pianos, and he refused to teach our kids piano because he's like, they're not going to listen to us. It's different when it's a different adult teaching them, right? So
it is.
Yes, I would like to get a tutor, a Vietnamese tutor for them, because they both have an English name and a Vietnamese name, and their last name is double barrel. So Eric's last name and my last name. So people are going to look at their names and say, hey, you have a Vietnamese name and a part of a Vietnamese last name. Maybe you should know some Vietnamese, right?
Right. How is the, of course, like relationship between grandparents and grandchildren? So much love between them. But what was the, can you tell if anything has changed after having kids, especially between, like your mom, your kids? What can you tell about it? Because that will probably like a huge thing for you, not only for you as a family, but your relationship with your mom.
My relationship with my mom, I feel that I appreciate my mom a lot more for what she has done for, both my parents, for what they have done for me. But now I see how hard it is to be a parent. So all the struggles that I put her through, now I'm getting it back from my kids. So,
right. Now I remember everything you did when you were
I was a good kid,
young
I think,
kid.
but it was my sister that was the bad kid.
Oh, she was the bad one.
So I could see how much struggle they went through from a parent's point of view. So
yeah. I like to share like a really personal story.
okay.
And that happened not too long ago. When my daughter was in kindergarten, one of her besties, she had two moms. And one day, out of the blue, she goes, I don't know where we were at, but it was just me and my daughter. And she said, Dad, my friend, she's so lucky because she has not just one, but two moms. And I mean, it was that silly, like, I was not expecting that from her.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest that, I only started thinking about this topic, having kids with two moms or two dads. I just started thinking about that since then, since my daughter, she said that to me. And, when I think about you guys, you and Eric, you're funny. You have like funny videos on social media, and you and Eric, you've been doing such an amazing work normalizing gay parents. And I think that's incredible. But what are the challenges when you expose your family on the internet?
I think so. When I started my Instagram in 2021, it was because I was starting real estate like a month after that. So I thought, I need to get out there and, be public about myself so that I can get some clients. So it was more about business. So exposing myself to get
showing
business.
your work, yeah.
Yes. But then, before doing any kind of real estate, I was like, I don't have any content for that. So I'm going to do it for my family. So I'm going to put my family out there and, show that, gay men can have a loving family as well. And so my mission at the beginning was to basically help other gay men who want to be parents. What are the steps to go through in order to do surrogacy? We didn't have experience with adoption, so we couldn't help people with that. But if people write to us, and I would say that about once a week, people write to me about surrogacy, because that's one of the hashtags that I use on my on Instagram is surrogacy. And so once a week, I get email or DMs about how to become an intended dad or parent. So so I feel like that was the driver for me, was to spread the knowledge about surrogacy and how to become dads.
Provide more information.
Yes. Yep. There are services that you can hire to do that if you have the money. And so we did everything ourselves. So we looked for our own surrogate. We looked for our own egg donor. So we saved some money in that aspect, but there are certain companies that will help you with finding those. So,
of course, your kids, they don't have internet or they don't have social media yet.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that you protect them from, comments and...
Yes. At the beginning, I had lots of comments that were negative. It wasn't about the kids. It was more about us. Like, we gay men shouldn't have kids because, in the Bible, it says that, gay men shouldn't be together, let alone have kids. That our kids are, they would say, poor kids, like they need a mom to have a loving relationship. And basically responded saying that a family is about love and not about the sex of the parents, right? So I found that the more people engage in that, the more it made the reel blow up. So I had one reel that went viral. It had like 2 million views because of those comments. There were lots of negative comments, but it was kind of heartfelt, I guess, that the people that follow me kind of defended those comments and say, basically, we're a loving family. And so they kind of jumped in and defended me. And so that's why it got so much engagement, and it just kind of blew up, and people started following me and more and more and more. So I guess negative engagement is not a bad thing at all. So if it brings in a lot more. It
actually helps you.
Yes, it did help me to even spread the word even more. So
yeah,
I felt like in the end result was that it helped me more. But I don't read those comments to my kids at all. They know that I post it on Instagram. They know that sometimes they're like, why do we have to take so many photos? Why do you have to take so many videos? I'm like, you'll thank me later when you're like 15 and you look back, look at all these fun things that we did when you're younger. So
is that something like, are you guys prepared when they grow up and start asking other questions? Are you guys prepared for that?
Yeah, I think when they come to an age where they think, oh, we don't want our photos online.
I don't want to be exposed.
Yeah, be exposed.
That much
then
anymore.
I'll say, you know what, then we won't do that right now. So, but they haven't said that yet. I know that some parents, like on online, they would like blur the faces. Or they wouldn't use their kid's name, which we haven't used our kid's name publicly on Instagram. So, but we haven't blurred our faces blurred their faces or anything like that. I mean, that's the choice that you as a parent make, right? Some parents will put their pics on public profiles and stuff, while others hide them. So,
but I guess that it's more difficult for you to sort of protect your kids outside the internet, right? Because when you're not there, if something happens, another kid says something to them, and you're not there, you can't do anything. Have you had any issues with that, like outside the internet?
Not yet. I think they're at an age where they're a bit young. One of our daughter's classmate actually said to her, she said, why do you have two dads? She's a recent immigrant from Ethiopia. And so I forgot what her response was. She said something to the effect that I'm so lucky that I have two dads. So that was her response, which I was very proud of her to say that. But I'm sure like when they get to maybe high school, I'm sure there's going to be more questions about like, why do you have two dads and why are they gay and all that stuff. So maybe there will be more negative connotations with that word as they get older. But we keep telling them that we provide them with love, and it doesn't matter what the sexes are. So we have this book at home called Families, 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 and it basically gives you all the different scenarios of how a family can be made. Like you could live with your grandparents, you could live with your uncles, those could be families as well. So it's not just a one dad, one mom, or two dad, two mom, or an aunt or something like that. So
it's nice when the kid asks that question without judgment, right? It's so nice.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about it before we started.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think kids don't have that judgment. I think it's a learned thing. That kid in our daughter's class is probably because their parents told them, a family should be a mom and a dad. So that's why she's questioning
That's the way it should be. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. So we're kind of happy that we are teaching our kids young to be accepting of other people, other people's differences, that people can look different, but at the end of the day, we're all humans. And as long as you have love and you love each other, that's all that matters, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Back to your Instagram account. You also use this account for work. Before you tell me about your journey becoming a realtor, what did you do before working in the real estate industry?
So I actually went to med school. I went to med school in the Caribbean for 2 years. And then in third and fourth year, I went to Chicago. That's where I met Eric. Mm-hmm. So I did my basically rotations at different hospitals in Chicago. And then after my visa expired, when I finished school, I came back to Canada. I actually tried to get a residency in the US, but the whole HB J1 visa, I don't know if you heard on the news that there's going to be a charge for $100,000 per application. But anyways, it was hard to get hospitals to sponsor those visas. So very competitive. So I didn't get into the US. So I came back to Canada thinking, probably easier to get a residency spot here for family practice. But it's just as hard here. Like, for example, when I was applying back then in BC, every year there's only 55 spots for family practice. And there were about 1,200 applicants for international medical graduates. So
it's really hard.
Yes, it's very hard to get one of those spots for family practice. And you need to do your residency before you can practice as a doctor. So after a few years of trying here, so when I came back here, I did all the board exams again for Canada, and I passed them. But because it was very competitive, I didn't get in. So I decided I'm going to switch careers and go into medical research. So I worked at a clinic on Main Street and basically did medical research. I wrote abstracts and papers and presentations for this doctor to present when he goes to conferences, mostly in HIV and hepatitis B and C. So that's what I did until we had kids. And I was stay-at-home dad for a few years. And when it was time to go back to work, I thought, having kids, you need the flexibility of drop off and, if they have activities and stuff like that, as you know.
We all know that.
Yes, you need a flexible schedule. So working 9 to 5 would be a hard thing to do when you have kids, right? So I thought, well, Eric has been in the industry for a while. He was in real estate in Chicago as well. So coming here, took a few years off, but then got into real estate again. So he's been in about 15 years. So I thought, well, if I go into real estate as well, and we're both realtors, we can kind of switch off. If we need, one of us needs to pick up the kids, the other one can do showings or something like that. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah. So that's how I got into real estate, was because more convenience, but also because I was interested in real estate as well. We bought and sold a few times before, and I like I like the process of looking for that house and looking for that perfect condo. So I love real estate. So it made.
Oh, you didn't know you?
Yeah. It was
you love
easy.
real estate.
Yes.
Yeah, it was more convenient.
Yeah, it was convenient, and I did like looking at property. So, yeah.
So there's a lot of Asian representation in the real estate industry, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that even though there's a lot of Asians working as a realtor, do you feel that it's still challenging for you as an Asian to, work in this industry?
I think for me, it was easier. I had an easier time for me because Eric was already in it. And so a lot of our clients are shared.
Yeah.
So he
paved the way for you.
Yes, he did pave the way for me. But if I was starting out by myself as a realtor, it doesn't matter if you're Asian or Caucasian or whatever ethnicity you are. It is very hard for the first couple of years just to get rolling, just to get that clientele base is challenging for anybody. But I was lucky to have Eric in the industry already. So funny thing is, like, my first client, she found me because she was looking for a Vietnamese realtor. So she went on Oakwin.com and she looked through the list of agents. And of course, my name is Andrew. So I started at the top, close at the top of the list. So she like flipped through.
Letter A.
There's the first Vietnamese person. So I'm going to choose him. So that's how I got my first client. So it worked out. Yeah.
Wow. And you said you love that, working as a realtor now.
Yes, I do love real estate. It's exciting to like look for a place for a client. Like, everyone has different needs, right? So it's fun to find that for someone. So
yeah,
and it's a big investment. So for someone to buy a house or a condo, it's a major step in their life. So I'm happy to be participating in that milestone of their life.
That's good. Yeah. Good for you. Like, although we have made an important progress, we still have, a long way for us as a society, right? And I also put myself in this group. Like, I still have so much to learn. Like, not too long ago, I was mentioning that to you, that, seeing you guys on the internet and, having access to more information, that's really important. Like, not only for me, but, for the whole society, right? And speaking of learning, I have to confess something to you, that when I was reading about you, and it was the first time in my life that I actually realized how clarifying and how illuminating it is, the way you normalize your experiences by sharing more information with everyone. Mm-hmm. And you might know that I always make the same final question, right? I mean, and but I wanted to change a little bit that final question. Okay. What makes you proud to be who you are?
What makes me proud to be who I am? I am living my true self. That this is who I am, and what I've accomplished so far in my life has been that I came out not by my own terms, but I am out. So, and the love that I have for my family and friends, I'm very proud to be parents, and I'm proud to share that with other people who want to be parents. That I get a message probably once every month about some person who lives in somewhere where being gay is not tolerated, and that how lucky I am to be living in Canada and be open about my sexuality, and have a loving relationship with Eric. There are some people say that gay people can't have long-lasting relationship. Well, Eric and I have been together for 21 years, so I'm very proud that we've been together that long. And Erica is my first relationship, so I guess I lucked out.
Wow.
I got lucky on my first try.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
And again, I want to say that, I'll say that again because I think it's important, right? For me, not being a part of the gay community, I don't even have one gay fan. Mm-hmm. And doing what you're doing I think whatever you're doing, it's working. Because it's not only for the gay community, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important to say that me not being gay and being moved by what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're posting on the internet, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just share some of my feedback and saying, yeah, whatever you're doing, you and Eric, you can say to him, it's working somehow.
Thank you so much. We do want to normalize gay parents or being gay because, like I said, there are countries where being gay is illegal. And so we want to spread the message that we are just like anyone else who fall in love and have kids. So, yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Andrew. That was amazing chatting with you.
Thanks for
having me. And hopefully like more people can watch this and, maybe they can change their minds.
Yes. Yeah.
Why not?
Thanks very much, Fabio.
Thank you, Andrew.
All right.